republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby announce that this meeting is being held in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Open Public Meeting Act. Proper notice of meeting dates has been given to the Morris Newsbeat and the Morris County Daily Record and posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Hall. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Karen, roll call.
Mr. Wood. Mr. Wolf.
Here.
Mr. Bezo. Mrs. Decker. Present. Mr. Cavaglia.
Present.
Mr. Houston.
Present.
Mayor Carr.
Present.
And Mrs. McCluskey. Here.
This evening, I want to welcome Elise Landano Hubbard, sitting in for Andy tonight. Kate Keller was supposed to be here, obviously not here, so I'm not sure if she's late, but she's sitting in for Liz. The first item on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes from August 18th of 2025. Each of the board members have received a copy. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to them?
I've got a correction. Page 385 where it says board member asking for cover sheet to be separate, that was me.
Excuse me, where is it?
385, fourth paragraph down, where it says board member,
Yes.
that was me. I said some other stuff there too, but I don't remember what it was. Obviously you're relevant.
Very good, okay.
Mrs. McCluskey and I had an exchange right there.
Yes, we did.
I remember that.
Yes.
I have no idea what we said, but it was important.
Okay.
So motion?
Is that it? Okay, no other corrections, so is there a motion to approve these,
I'll move it.
okay, with the corrections? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Karen, motion,
Okay, all in favor,
Carried.
voice vote? Okay, motion accepted.
yep. Next item on the agenda are comments from the public. This is specifically for matters that are not on tonight's agenda. And Lee, as you come up, state your name, last name, spell it.
Will do, thank you, Don. Lee Connor, C-O-N-N-O-R, and it's 2 Tower Hill Road. And hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to make a public comment. I thought I'd take this opportunity to give you all an update on Plan Better, Morris Plains. That's a resident-led and resident-funded group that I told you about in June, and I knew that you were dying for an update. So how did we spend our summer vacation? We spent the summer meeting, and we wanted to define issues and study how related Morris Plains boards and commissions work, because so much of this is intertwined, planning for the town, and to consider what are reasonable, what are doable ideas to envision Morris Plains as it goes into its 2nd century. So as part of our planning and doing, we joined New Jersey Highlands Coalition. That's a 501c3 nonprofit, and they have become our fiscal sponsor. That means that any donations to our group are now tax deductible. In addition, we have access to a wide range of planning and development expertise throughout the state. And we're very much valuing their advice and counsel. So what are our goals? Plan Better Morris Plains is asking for public education and participation in land use decisions. We're also specifically requesting a timely review of Ordinance 14/2023 and the Morris Plains Master Plan. Earlier this month, we sent out our first newsletter. If you didn't see it and would like to, please write to Plan Better MP adjournment@gmail.com, and we will happily forward it. In that newsletter, we highlighted that in its initial review, the New Jersey Department of Transportation has expressed concerns about the McDonald's project on Speedwell Avenue. Specifically, DOT expressed major concerns about traffic impact, the safety of children at nearby schools, and the increased risk of rear-end and T-bone collisions at an already busy intersection. I obtained this letter via an open records, OPRA request from the NJDOT. Anyone can. And I urge you to, especially as members of this board, not only to review how the hearings went in light of the testimony presented by the applicant's traffic expert compared to this review, but because future projects will inevitably come before this board, and this will be great background for you. We are urging the borough to conduct its own independent traffic study, independent, not for an applicant, by an applicant, to develop a detailed traffic assessment for each permitted use under ordinance 14/2023. To public knowledge, no such assessment was undertaken by the borough planner when the ordinance was being drafted by the planning board. If that statement is incorrect, that would be great. I'd love to hear a correction and also a look at the independent traffic assessment that was done at that time. This fall, we're reaching out. We're meeting with groups. There are so many stakeholders in planning in Morris Plains. And we're talking to elected officials, appointed officials, boards, committees. And if anyone on this committee would like to meet with a couple members of the Plan Better Morris Plains core team, we would certainly welcome that. planbettermp@gmail.com. Thank you, and we look forward to working with you in the future. And thank you also for your service to the planning board.
Thank you.
Amen.
Anyone else? No. Okay, I'll close that portion of the agenda. Next is committee reports. Minor site plan committee, I know from Steve, there are no updates. Master plan committee, same with John, there are no updates. So I'll close this portion of the agenda. Correspondence and bills. Karen, are there correspondences and bills?
Correspondence.
Bills?
And the bills I gave to Mr. Wu.
We do have bills. Imagine that. We have one number 202-51573, date is the 27th of August, for Phillips Price Grigel, the amount of $1,980 for professional services, the June 25th housing element. We have one number 202-51677, September 10th, 2025, the Marziti Falcon, General Legal Services for February, for the amount of $1,452.50. We have number 202-51681, September 12th, 2025, Anderson Densler. Professional Services General Engineering for August, the amount of $194.40. Skipping one. Have number 202-51682, 12th of September of 2025, Marziti Falcon. General Legal Services for August, the amount of $1,960. The final one is 202-51683, the 12th of September. Again, Marziti Falcon for McDonald's Legal Services, $2,017.35. And that's it.
Mr. Wolf, sorry, just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said one of them was for $194.40, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That was the Anderson Densler.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Yes. Karen,
That was Mr. Houston?
Mayor Carr and Mr. Houston.
Karen, roll call?
Okay. Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mrs. Stecker?
Yes.
Mr. Gravaglia?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mayor Carr?
Yes.
And Mrs. McCluskey?
Yes.
Excuse me, I would like to say that I did receive an email from Mrs. Cecere, which the mayor answered saying that all of these questions can be answered through the building department and the zoning officer. But that was a correspondence that I did receive, and that was information about demolition on buildings, especially the 415.
And Karen, just,
And all of you, I think, received a copy of it, and the mayor responded to Mrs. Cecere. Okay, but I just wanted to mention that I did get that correspondence.
okay. Okay, so bills are approved.
Yes.
Okay, I will close that portion of the agenda. Applications, there are none at this time. I can close that. Okay, old business. So old business is for comments from this board regarding the application checklist and process. So this is a carryover from last month. And just to remind everyone, this was a joint effort between the Board of Adjustment, this planning board, and the governing body. And tonight, what I'm really looking for is to gather comments from each of the board members so that they then can be shared back to the committee that will eventually share it with the council. So, again, I'm looking for comments tonight. I'd like to start at this end of the table. Steve is not here, but Steve has forwarded me his comments, and Mr. Betzall, same. He's not here, but he has forwarded me his comments. So, Andrew,
Are you going to share them?
I can share.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd like
I
to.
can share.
Go
I
ahead.
haven't looked, well, I haven't looked at it. I just got them.
Can you read them to us so we know what?
I can't in front of me now. I will send them to you, but I can summarize with John. It looks good.
It is good.
It looks good. And I told him to send me a little bit more than that, so I don't know what he's gonna tell me. Steve, I understand. Steve was more about instructions on how to use the new checklist. And what I told him was that Dave Schultz and that committee had already been working on that. He didn't have anything else, but I haven't gotten his email. That's what he told me over the phone. So I will definitely share those 2 emails with the board. So back to Andrew.
I think a couple things. I think first, there was conversation at our last meeting about the zoning board of adjustment and their feedback, and we've now had the minutes, we've read that, and it looks like they were pretty supportive of the overall project. So I just want to make sure that we close that. I actually submitted today some fairly extensive comments on this. Right? Most of my comments, I think a couple of my comments, or the general tenor of the comments was suggestion on how to make it flow better so that it both tells a story, but also a suggestion that we talk to Karen in the office and the people there that have to deal with these documents all the time, because I think the placement of some of the data there could make the difference between a very miserable process and trying to pull data out of it and use these documents later, and one that's fairly streamlined. So for example, I think there's a lot of things that are buried in the new version of the document that could be pulled up into the header. Like, for example, the location, the tax map, the lot, all that up in the header. I think there's several things there. I went through and there were things that I thought were left out that I don't, as I said last time, I don't know what I don't know. But, for example, the signatures and certifications that are in several of the old documents. Permission to visit the site. Certification that they're telling the truth on the document. The escrow acknowledgement, the piece that talks about the 45-day rule that was on the cover of everything else. I think those things that are missing probably should be considered to go back in, but especially permission to visit the site. I'm trying to think. It's extensive. It's like 4 pages, and I'm happy to circulate those to the rest of the board as well.
Just a suggestion, if we're gonna just send it to the secretary, that she can get it out to everybody.
Perfect.
And email everybody all.
I think it was that, and then there's nits and bits around there. I think the other question that I had, probably the most sizable one, is on some of the documents, there's a segment on the products that they would have in a space, the potentially hazardous waste that it generate, things like that have fallen off the new document. I think that needs to be in there. Just as a citizen, I think that needs to be something that we think about when it comes in front of the board and that we can ask questions. I think it's more likely that we do that if it's on our checklist when we go through. Anyway, that's the general thing, and I'll send Karen my comments I sent to her.
Good, thank you for that. Ms. Stecker?
Great, so some of my comments are along the same
Excuse me,
vein.
can you move the, thank you.
Can you hear me now?
I'd like to talk a little bit about the grant for the.
So, along the same vein, some of it was organizational. When I was doing this and looking at some best practices, I've seen a lot of the municipalities have in their administrative packet some of the information we have on here. So the sections include things like application escrow fees, public notice, technical submission checklists, outside approval matrices, and that, I won't go into more details, I'll put it in an email, but that was one of the things where I thought we could pull some out from here, and it's in these checklists. The other thing I thought was, I saw that a lot of municipalities have one form, and where there are sections that apply specifically to the Board of Adjustments or the Planning Board, that is part of the same document, it's just called out in a special section. So I'm just wondering if I'm thinking of how people are gonna use this, and some of them are potentially homeowners, and to make it as easy as possible, organizationally, that might make sense. Let's see. The other one is, on the applications, I didn't see things like the design waiver and conditional use, so I don't know if that was intentionally left off or it was somewhere else and I just missed it, but I didn't see it up here under the application. Those are, a couple of things. I think the ownership piece, we already talked about that last time. I think there's one other thing. I might have missed it again, but I didn't see a spot where we have all the different people, and their address, their email, or phone number. I didn't see one for traffic consultant and planning consultant. And again, I'm sort of in the same boat. I don't know what I don't know, but those were the things largely that stuck out. I have a couple other gifts and things, but I can put those in an email. So that's my remarks.
And you'll send those to Karen as well.
Yes, I will put it in a format that's understandable.
Mr. Houston?
I don't really have any comments, because, we worked on this together. I think I do have one question to Mr. Ryden, if you don't mind, sir. So this is the application checklist, right? So it's the intent here is for the applicant to go through and make sure that they have all the supporting documentation in order for you to review it, correct?
Well, that's the list that tells them what they need to supply to the board to have a complete application.
Right.
And of course, they can request waivers for those, for reference items. But
Right.
that's the purpose of the checklist.
Right.
To advise the applicant what information they need to get to the board so they can be able to be heard.
Okay,
That's the sum and substance of it.
right, so the purpose of this was to streamline our current application and not necessarily to list all the documentation that they would need to or not provide you with all the documentation at that time. Just provide a checklist that says, hey, yes, we're gonna provide all this documentation.
Well, it goes hand in hand. So,
Okay.
so any given item that says you need a lighting plan,
Mhm.
you have to have the lighting plan.
Mr. Ryden, can you just move to the?
I will. So the example I gave is, the requirement for a lighting plan.
Right.
So to have that lighting plan. We don't evaluate it on the completeness, we simply have a lighting plan.
Right.
The board gets to delve into the specifics of that, and in my report, planner's report, whatever, we may make comments on that, and the board deliberates that and hears testimony. But, so this is just to get us the information we need, so that we don't have starts and stops in the process. I've
Understood.
seen that happen, I've seen it happen over the years, and this here in Morris Plain and other towns I work for. You get, everybody's assembled for the hearing, and there's a major piece missing. And you have to adjourn it. So that's all what we're trying to eliminate.
Right, and so the purpose of this is to, as you said, right, provide that checklist to make sure that the applicant has all the documentation in place and to streamline that process to.
They know what we need.
Right, okay,
And he submitted it to Mr. Wright and us.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
how else is he gonna verify it's there, right, as it's submitted, so, yes.
So if you check off that you have that plan, we,
It needs to be.
we'll
Yeah,
see that they
you
have
see
it.
Right.
And that's part of the review process that I do.
Right.
All right, thank you, sir,
Well,
that's all I have.
Mayor Carl? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I have a slew of things as well. Just one thing that kind of sticks out to me, just one thing that kind of sticks out to me is the Board of Adjustment minutes of June 23rd, where I guess they discussed this. You know, this is going back with Mr. Biden, who does the completeness, and you feel there's not a need for an engineer or planning or planner reviewing for completeness. Why is that?
because the checklist is not specific to any discipline, it's administrative items. And you don't need to be a planner or an engineer to do it, an administrator could do that. But it typically, it is done by one of the two, either the engineer or the planner. Most towns that I've been involved with, it's the engineer that does it. It's just a duplication of effort that is not necessary. There's nothing I can say there's a lighting plan, and the planner will say there's no subjectivity at all. So it's not, you'll get a different slant from, that slant will come in at the meeting, at the hearing, when the testimony is presented and we review all those things. That's when you'll get different input from the different professions. But right now, at that point, the application phase, it's strictly administrative. We don't make any value judgments on the information itself.
And then just going back to this one question, who does the completeness? Where does that take place? Is that
Do
going
it.
to be administratively before a meeting?
Well, yeah, it happens after the application is filed with Karen, and then she forwards it to me,
Right,
and I'll do the completeness process. That's what we do up front.
right.
And I'll get a report out on it, and we have our completeness here.
So there's still a hearing, it just doesn't go through you until it is complete, is that?
It could, there's it's done different ways in different towns. Some of the towns I work for, if I go through and I determine it's all complete, the board accepts that through my letter and schedule the hearing. And I know if anybody else has that experience, but that's typically the way it's done. And if I come up with deficiencies, I will cite those in the report. And if there's no waivers to be acted on, but there are deficiencies, Karen advises the applicant that they're incomplete and they need to provide the following as per my report. If there's waiver issues, I can't grant the waivers, nobody else but the board can grant waivers. That's when it comes for those. But if it's not a matter of waivers or any other thing, then it can be my declaration that it's complete. But if you don't want to do it that way, then we can have the same kind of hearings we've been doing. I think can save time, the board's time, et cetera.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting at, and, you said that the professionals don't need to be at the meetings, but if it's deemed incomplete, right, prior to a meeting, the board accepts your letter for an incomplete
And there's
application.
no meeting scheduled.
And there's no they won't come before the board, the
When
applicant.
you be scheduled,
If it is complete, professionals come here, is that correct?
that's correct.
How do questions get answered if the professionals aren't here and the board accepts your letter
Well, it's simply, the acceptance of the completeness letter does not go to the merits of the application at all. It simply says, Mr. Applicant, you are ready to make your case to the board. And then we convene that hearing, and all professionals are here, all board members are here, the applicant, their witnesses are here. That's how it's handled.
So if the applicant professionals have questions, how come it was deemed incomplete, or we do have that, you know, or you overlook something, or, you know, they think 150 feet is adequate, and whatever the case may be, how does that dialogue take place?
Well, if they object to the determination that it's complete, no, that it's incomplete, and they have some specific, reasons why, they will send a letter to that effect to the board. And we will then take that back into consideration and determine if did we miss something, did we not evaluate it properly, in terms of the document.
Sometimes in my past experience, though, you know, the board, the engineer's made a suggestion, and the board, I'll say, has overruled you or voted another way, right? So is that possible?
Well, you're saying, let's, for example, I might say the application is complete and you'll overrule me on that?
No, a specific item in there, right? Something.
Again, it's not subjective at all, Mr. Dillon. It's a completely objective review of the items. It's here or it's not here. That is it. And if it's a waiver request, then I will advise the board in my report. I either agree with that waiver request, and the board will then have to make the ultimate decision on it, or I don't agree with that waiver request, okay? And
It's
that's
done
the process,
further on in
isn't
the
it?
process.
It's the same basic process, you're not giving up anything here, other than, you know, I think the committee feels that it's a simplified process for the applicants as well. We have 57 pages of checklists or something like that. It's unnecessary, it's duplicative, largely. And you know, we go through it and through it. It's a tedious process. I'd like to see it streamlined. Maybe for selfish reasons.
There have been instances, though, if the document isn't in the application process, right? Oh, we'll get it to you,
That,
you know, and then you say, okay, yeah, that's no problem.
no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. It has to be here or not be here. And I've never entertained any requests like that. And I never will.
So anyway, I do have a lot of, I think a definition, a glossary, or some sort of definition for, usually it's professionals that are filling out these applications, so they know, but sometimes it's not, it is homeowners, so I think a glossary, is good. Again, I have a bunch, I think there has to be an explanation, sometimes we do occur, applications with 2 front yards, I don't know whether that was spelled out here, I see front yard, but, you know, not 2 front yards. Soil disturbance, is that in here as well, or not, just as the amount of fill being?
I think so.
I didn't see it, so if it is,
I don't
that's
know.
just one of the things.
Well, I'll check on that now.
So minor site plan approval, that still comes to the board, or
I'm
minor
sorry.
site plan approval?
Everything comes to the board.
Questions? We have utilities down here, public water and sewer, I think everything in the borough now is public water and sewer is still in the deep that's a mayor.
It may be redundant, I don't wanna make that assumption, and if it's not, it's just not applicable.
Yeah, because it does need, so let's see, on page 4 of the application here, for
Which one?
subdivision and site plan.
Application for subdivision site plan?
Yeah, on page 4, it says soil moving application. That's I. And then L says list of surrounding property owners, but how far does that list go?
No, that's municipal land use law, that's the 200 foot.
That is too early, so maybe we should
Yeah, that's,
just
well,
add
again,
that in there.
it's kind of understood that these things are filled out by professionals.
Yeah.
The homeowner application, that's the variance application, we structured that specifically for the homeowner because they don't deal with site plans or subdivisions, they deal with variances for a deck or a new addition for a side yard setback, something like that. So we structured that specific application for the homeowner, kind of made that, I think, a little simpler and it's pretty self-explanatory. And we will have, and we've said this before, in the committee, we've said we need a construction packet, we need separate forms for right to enter the property, for escrow agreements, whatever else there is. Those things are done as separate documents. But it's part of the application pack. Now, we could, I think that's a good point, we could add on the checklist that they have to provide those as part of the application. But it doesn't have to be, the actual application. I think they're handled better as separate documents.
So that's, that's some of the things I have. But it does look like the Board of Adjustment is, on board, and they do have some comments, and I'm sure there's some consideration. So,
Okay, get comfortable, folks.
So,
Um,
my-
Okay, is that better, Karen?
that-
Okay. So on the cover part of the package, I strongly agree with Mr. Rizos from the Board of Adjustment and the mayor. We would like to have a glossary of all of these. Okay, that's very important. I strongly disagree with the fact that you and the planner do not have to attend the completeness hearing. There have been many, many instances where we have questions about why you might have come to a conclusion.
Excuse me, sir, I'm sorry, Richard. I didn't say they don't have to come to the meeting. I never said that. I said, there's no need for both the engineer and the planner to do the completeness review. Different.
Or maybe it could be a joint review.
I really don't agree with that, but, that's, go back to the committee and they'll discuss that.
Okay. And I didn't see anything on any of these documents for a traffic, whether or not we need a traffic engineer or traffic review. So that's just on the cover sheet. So now application for the variance, and I will send all of these to you so that you can distribute them. But we need to specify the scale of all the drawings. On this first page, there is 3 location of property, lot, zone, and then below, number 5, zone in which the property is located, that's just duplication. Performance guarantees for public improvements, as-built cross-section and profiles, as-built grading plans. The next one is the site plan application page. There's 2 pages here. I don't understand, honestly, I don't understand why there's like original and 10 copies. Why only 10?
I don't remember that. I don't remember that point. We discussed that in committee, maybe more Mr. Houston recall or not.
Who are they distributed to? Maybe people are getting them
I
electronically
can
and it's
answer
just
that
wasted.
question. I believe it was discussed at the Board of Adjustment also. I think that number was something that was just put in there, but there is a lot of distribution, okay? It's all the members of the board, plus all the professionals receive a copy. And then it's the zoning officer receives a copy. Sometimes the fire chief receives a copy, the police officer receives a copy, fire subcode, and the Morris County Planning Board. So there is an awful lot of copies that are done, so I believe that number, original 19 in original, like, you know, one copy of the original is 20, that's what, unless you wanna change the
We'll leave the
distribution.
number to you, we'll leave
Yeah.
the number of applications.
Right, I think that's what I think they discussed.
I think part of the purpose here was to streamline it, right? And so a lot of these organizations will take electronic versions of the documents. Of course, if anybody wants a paper document, that can be requested and provided. But just to, have them provide 19 copies of the original documents on the front end where, maybe they're not all needed, I think it's a little bit, we'll say not streamlined.
Then you have them from the applicant, right? We're not making the copies, we're
Right.
making the plans, and doing all that other kind of
Right.
stuff in-house.
And we're not eliminating the paper documents, we're reducing the amount of paper documents that are provided on the front. So
No,
there's
that's
still
what
paper
Jason's point was, that if somebody comes in and wants a copy, then it's on us that we're making the copy, let it be on them.
But I will suggest that a lot of times, large copies, I will ask for, like architectural drawings and maybe engineering copies for all the professionals, and then we just get a smaller copy for the planning board.
No,
Board of
no
Adjustment.
smaller copies for the planning board, because we ran into a problem when we had the M&M application. No small copies.
It's not small, it's, not as big.
No, we want the 11 by 17, Karen.
Okay,
11 by 17.
That's how we had,
okay, no problem, I just suggested that, sometimes they do.
So I mean, I will go over there, and I will send these to you, but, you talk about the location, type and size of electric, telephone, cable, vision, gas, water mains, and maybe EV charging stations. We wanna see, somewhere in a couple places, it said the floor plans for the first floor. We wanna see floor plans for every floor, okay? And again, I will get these to you because I've prepared them. Photographs of all properties within 500 feet of the subject property. Now, sometimes we've made that 200 feet, but definitely when there's a variance required, we need photographs of the actual properties. And that's been required before. We need a list of all the experts and who's gonna testify. Color photographs of surrounding properties, that's another thing. And again, and the mayor mentioned this, that they have to certify on every single application that they are served by public water and sewer. We don't want anybody having their own water or sewer septic in the borough.
That's fine, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
I don't think there was an intent to sidestep that.
Not at all.
There was a couple places where it says location and type of all existing proposed right-of-way easements and other lands, if any, to be dedicated to the borough. Well, to anyone, we would want to see any easements or proposed rights of way, not just to the borough. Anything, maybe it's for a driveway that their next door neighbor can use, whatever, anything like that, we would want to. But I do have this list, I will send it to you, and when we get these proposed documents back, could we not get them this way? This was very, 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 very difficult to compare to the current documents. So let's get back a proposed complete package of how you think we're going to present this to the public, not these individual things that are very, very difficult to compare to what we have. No, that's, yeah, that's.
So I know Bill has looked at this, but, has the planner looked at this?
I believe so, at the last meeting, Ms. Keller was here, and she had, we had a little conversation.
Did they have any feedback or no?
She didn't have any major feedback, I'm not trying to speak for her, but she didn't whisper in my ear that this, there's some horrible things going on.
Great. Yeah, Ms. Laney had sent me an email, and she did have any concerns, and didn't list anything specific.
assemble all those and we'll have to convene.
Yeah, so, first of all, thanks for the input. It's really, tried to look at this checklist and application and the entire process. So what we said was that each of us would send our comments to Karen, she would collect them, send them back out to the board, and then, I'm not sure when the next committee meeting is, but we'll eventually
I
get these
know, I'll
comments.
send you all that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can,
We can get, if we get them all, we can.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you like me to
Great.
send it to all the committee members also? You know, or Bill Houston, are you gonna send it to, Dave Schultz?
No, you can send it to Mr. Schultz, Mr. Gravaglia, and myself.
Okay, and it's Mr. Wright, so
Please.
it's.
And all, and all the Board of
Yeah,
Adjustment
let's-
members.
yeah,
Of course.
What document, wait, what document are you talking about?
I'm just talking about
No, she's
comments
talking
that
about all
you
these
have.
gathered
Yeah,
ones.
so
We're
all,
talking to you guys,
so Karen,
not them.
all of the information that we talked about, high level tonight, each board member is gonna send you their comments.
And that
You're
only
gonna-
goes to that committee.
Committee.
Correct.
What committee?
The four people that we mentioned, so myself, Mr. Gravaglia, Mr. Ryan, and Mr. Schultz.
Okay, very good.
Wait, when are the Board of Adjustment members going to see our comments?
So it's gonna be reflected obviously in the minutes, so they're able to review our comments.
Yeah, but they're
Well,
gonna put together a document anyway.
I didn't mention all of my comments.
Okay, but that's why you're gonna send them over, so we can.
You will distribute them to all the Board of Adjustment members.
Karen will do that, but yes.
Okay, okay, so our comments will go to the Board of Adjustment members. Okay,
All right, can I get this correct now? I am sending these comments that everyone on the planning board is sending me to the committee. And I'm also sending them all to the Board of Adjustment. And by chance, would everyone on the planning board like them also?
yes.
Okay, so everyone wants a copy of everyone. So once you send it, I'll recap it, planning board, Board of Adjustment, and committee. Okay, I
Can I
got it.
just make a suggestion, maybe it'd be easier than everything going back and forth. Get a red line version of the comments here, once you get the red line version, you can distribute those to all the adjustment members. You know, my 13 pages, her 12, whatever, I mean,
It's gonna overlap.
this is not gonna go over well.
Put them all together.
We will consolidate.
It's gonna take a long time.
There's a fair amount of comments that we heard tonight, right, that are shared amongst all the planning board members, right? The same thing was true of the zoning board, right? So if we all send everything out, right, it's gonna be duplicates of everything, so I think, right, I think the point is consolidate it all, we'll redline it, we'll send it out, we'll make sure that all the planning board and the board of adjustment members have all the comments for both boards in one document, and then we'll,
And our professionals.
of course,
The
of
professionals,
course.
and what I'll do is I'll recap I'll just take that section of Board of Adjustment minutes and
Yes.
recap, okay?
Exactly.
All right, very good.
Mr. Gravaglia, may I make one more comment?
Yes.
Okay. I think, just because we have a number of members of the public here, I think a lot of this is, at least when we started this, a lot of this was to try to streamline it, make it easier for the public to understand as well. Not only for them to submit the applications, but also when they're coming in to request copies of plans or anything like that, right? If we have them electronically, it is one media format that they can obtain. Of course, if they want them in hard copy, they can also obtain them that way, right? But we don't currently have a requirement to have them electronically. So I think part of this brings us into the 21st century, but it brings us into the 20th century with that aspect of it. So I think that's part of it too, in terms of having a lens on the public as well. So I just wanted to make that point.
I think Mr. McCluskey said it very well. It was really hard for us to review it. Right? We've been through it many times, and some of us many more times than others. I know these were spread all across my kitchen table and the bar
Yeah.
while I was trying to go up and down. And so if we can get this down to just a couple instead of however many.
Yeah, we're at that point now, so that's good.
Great conversation. Thanks to everybody. Okay, I'll close this part of the agenda. New business? Nothing? Okay, so our next scheduled planning board meeting will be October 20th, right here in the council chambers. Can I get a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
moved.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great. Okay, appreciate everybody's input. Safe going home. Thank you.